All right, guys. Now, how does it sound like? See, I had to dig deep to my my troubleshooting skills on that one. All right, sounds good, guys. Sounds good. All right, so let me go back here. I want to go back to the sponsors here real quick. Thanks, guys, for being patient on that. So again, Justin Thornton, Macy's, Fish and Spine. Justin Thornton, spring's coming. Keep the guy working. Make him busy. Um, we definitely want to make that guy work. And it looks like you guys are getting all kinds of sound now. I feel like an old man right now, Jeremy. I tell you that. I can tell you that. I tell you. So going back to the sponsors, Justin Thornton painting. Prepare for that. If you guys need some work done, talk to him. Get him busy. Keep him busy. Macy's Fish and Spines. We got the event coming up, February 16th. If I need to, I can run up there and pick up the stuff. But they have some deliveries going on, so check with them if you need things. They do have great prices, guys, and some of you that already got equipment from them, this isn't like just a scam type thing, promotional thing. This is legitimately great prices. They get the gear you guys want. They make sure it makes sense because they fish too. Um, we got Savannah Marine. We were at their catfish fry for us. Some of you guys taking your boats up there, getting the work done on them. Keep that up. Get your boats tuned up. Now's a good time to do it. And if you don't have a boat, need parts, whatever, get with them. Call Eric. Get it set up. GNR Bait. Gerald and Rhonda have been doing a lot behind the scenes, guys, and they deserve a lot of kudos for that. They're using their connections and people they know to help us take care of us, and hopefully it's going to pay off. They're hoping it will, and so I don't want to allude to too much of it, but I think we're going to have some good things for you. Hooker's Terminal Tackle, James Arwood, he's like, hey, we're still on board for next year. And I said, well, make it easier on you. How about we get gift certificates to your store? And then he doesn't have to give away product and things like that. And he's like, well, let's do both. So Hooker's Terminal Tackle's going all in with us. Um, the original Rod Socks, and there, she's taking care of us. She even took care of us during the Catfish games. We got to give a bunch of those away. We're going to get their logos wrapped on our new wraps, and I'll talk about that later. They're really good, so I've got to talk with her more about this coming year and what to do. Um, but we like to see a lot more people using the rod socks, and it looks like you guys are. I see your pictures and see them in your trucks and stuff, so that's really good. Visit Kansas City. So this is a unique one for some of you guys that didn't know this. Visit Kansas City. So Justin Stein is who I work with, and we started working with them last year. We talked to them about the security issues, and you guys have heard about those. And they took it seriously. And then he invited me to the special event, this VIP deal they had at the ball game. So Eddie Henny and I went up there, and we got to meeting, and then that what we found out was they were introducing us to Sports Media Group, the magazine, and they had some bloggers, and they had someone there from the Adaptive Sports, and we all got to talking, and they set it all up so we can network. By the end of the conversation that night, the Sports Media Group was sponsoring All American Catfish tournaments to come out to North Carolina and spend a week out there with them. And they wine and dine you. They set up the hotel. They fly out there. They bus you around. We go to wineries, and but during the day, we met with all those different locations from all over the country that want to have events in their states. Um, so it's a great partnership. They really set us up. They got us some great exposure. Again, this year, they've gave us some money for being at Cop Point. We have 4 events there. We ask for quite a bit. That's how it goes, right? You ask for a lot and you get what you get, and then you work from there. So they gave us some money, so we put $1,000 towards uh, the March event, and we're going to try to raise more money for that. And so we got a couple other sponsors we're looking at. But we want to turn that March event, that the Monster Cat one, we want to turn that into a big annual event. We know how the river is in March, especially the Kansas River. So let's hit some tournaments on it. Let's get some big fish weighed in that are hungry, that are feeding, that are moving, and let's take a look at it. So, uh, oh, yeah, I think he liked the comments you had to say, Dave, and on about the Catfish games. So he's a good guy. But Visit Kansas City, we said, hey, you guys are taking care of us. You're going all in. Let's get your logo on there. Our intent is to show these waters is a great fishery. The places we're having our events at um, is a great fishery. So Visit Kansas City is going to be working really close with us. They're going to help us with the catfish games, and there's still more to come that they're working on. They're working on hotel packages. So a lot of you guys that are out of state, when you come up, you got a good hotel there. There's security there. They're even talked about us coordinating with a lot of businesses in the Kansas City, Kansas area, to try to get them to chip in and be part of this series, and some micro donations, but accumulative micro donations, like $100 per 10 stores or 20 stores or whatever. That's pretty easy for them to get some recognition, for them to put them on the map with this type of audience. And it helps you guys. That money comes to you guys, and it's something for you to win. So, so Justin Stein's going to go with us to the Catfish Conference. Um, and we're going to partner with them. We're going to try to do more events with them, and they're going to try to get us to more events, and it's going to be good. They're going to come out. So I'll tell you this right now. One of the things they asked is, would we be interested in taking like the mayoral staff, the mayor himself, or maybe their staff, or some type of city representatives out on our boats? They want to come see the boats launch. They want to see it kick off the event, and they want to see what these tournaments are all about. So that's an easy answer. Yes, we would do that. I've even approached some of you now, said, "Hey, would you mind taking some of the mayor out, or some of their staff out, or something like that?" And the answer is yes, of course. When you get that kind of visibility and that kind of backing, they're seeing something in you, and they're wanting to prove it out. And so that's why we always have to maintain that you be vigilant, maintain that professional appearance, and relationship build. Right? It's networking, building relationships with you guys. You guys. Good point. Good point. Depends who's driving the boat. So we'll put them with safe people. Um, but really, all joking aside, they want to be part of us. They paid for security at one of our night events last year. They're taking it seriously. Now they don't, they have other things that they're supporting too, so they can't throw everything at us. But they do have a big network. They do have a reach. So yeah, Joel. Um, so that's why you see them on there, and we're going to do everything we can to promote them. Like I said, they're coming to the Catfish Conference. We did ask them if they could look into incentivizing, having something to incentivize tickets or something for people that are at the conference to come to Kansas City. Anything, let's do it. So you see the Catfish Conference there too. We have that on there. You know, Steve Douglas has really helped us out over the years, and we understand he's got paying customers. He's got to get going and support. We understand that, but he has shared our events. He has called us and offered us to sponsor us at the Catfish Conference. Of course, we said yes. That's the type of visibility we need if we're going to grow this trail and be taken seriously. We are not just a weekend event deal. Obviously, right? You guys are part of that big community. Um, yeah, water is smoother out front. So anyway, we want to make sure everyone knows about the Catfish Conference, and there's still people that aren't familiar with it. So it doesn't hurt that we keep sharing it. So let's all keep sharing it and grow this thing. Miracle Marine. Brent Riddle talked to me late last year, and Curtis, and then we started all kind of talking. And they started off like, hey, they're going to give us some money. And I won't say what the amount is, but they're going to start off with a pretty good amount of money. And then they said, look, let's just go on. Let's be your anchor boat sponsor. Let's take a look at what you guys are doing. We like what you're doing. Let's look at it closer. Let's partner more. And so they threw all that money at the Border Wars. Um, Pretty close to their backyard, but they're looking at other events. Like they said, they want to help out. They're going to take a look at it and see where they can help out. So Miracle Marine, they are going to be at the conference. I think you guys are going to really get a kick out of the Miracle Marine and All American Catfish Tournaments Border Wars trophy. All right, it's a big one. It's going to be a big trophy. Um, so we're going to have one of those trophies at the conference, and we're going to have the Tournament of Champions trophy at the conference. So you guys get a look at that. I'll say this: when you see the Tournament of Champions trophy, there's going to be a placard there saying who showing the champions and all the stuff in the trophy, but it's going to have like a question mark on it or your picture here verbiage on it, because what's going to happen is you're going to win the trophy, or someone's going to win the trophy, and we're going to take a picture of them in front of their boat, and then they're going to put that out or transpose that on. I can't remember what it's called, acrylic, and we're going to remount it on the trophy. So whoever wins the Tournament of Champions trophy is going to have their picture as part of that trophy. So they can always look at that trophy in their house and look 20 years from now, whatever, look at that picture, look at them, look at that boat, and say, we won that thing. So we think that's going to be pretty cool. So look for those two trophies at the Catfish conference. So we're really looking for that. And again, we talked about monster rod holders. Catfish Now really helping get the word out for us. And Ron's he's been a big help. And then there's our PayPal info. All right, guys, let me switch over to the other screen. All right. Yeah, I think the trophies are going to be really cool. We definitely blew the budget getting the. Yeah, we got to work on that though, Ryan. Right? We got to work on them to convince them at some point. Someone should win one of those boats. Now that boat may be 6 inches long, but it may be a monster cat boat, right? But no, I think you're going to get a kick out of what we're doing with the Border Wars trophy with the monster cat boat. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, Dave. I bet Lydia's going to be fishing a lot more this year, and her face just may end up on that trophy. With her team. So, you just may have made a prediction. So keep that in mind. All right, guys. So let's talk about some. Let me pull up my notes. All right. Let's get the one thing out of the way real quick. February 16th is the icebreaker, and just like last year, this time of year, we seen ice on the river, and then it warmed up and it all went away. So we are on ice watch. You see, Craig is out there and he posts his videos as he's going over there, and some of you guys post your pictures and keep doing that. Let's post that picture. Let's be on ice watch, because about a week out, we're going to have to make a call whether we think that ice is going to be clear enough to be safe and have the event. If we cannot have that event, we will reschedule it very quickly. All right. So there may be 2 events in March. We may have to see how that goes. All right. So anyway, we may shuffle things around. I hope so. I think I was telling someone today, Justin, what you sent me. I'm going all in on that. I honestly think it's going to clear. It has every year that we fished, and not just in our tournaments now, but even when we did our fun ones. February 16th always, or that second week in February always cleared. So that's good. We'll make it. We're going to make the call, and you guys know how we are. We care about everyone's safety. You'll see. We have that streamer there for the PayPal, guys, and we're going to rely on PayPal a lot this year. It just really helps us with the food. We're going to try to be a little more precise on that food, because we had a lot of extra food, and that's We don't need that, right? It goes into our operating costs, and the more disposable income we have from the tournament, the more we can do for you guys in other areas and other things, and so we want to do that. So the PayPal is important. It's aacatfish at outlook.com is our PayPal. All right. Um, One thing I may want to do, if I can do it, is I'm going to create a video. If you go to our page, our Facebook page, I'm going to create a video on some navigation tips here. On the top right of the page, you'll see popular topics and posts. And we're trying to post these more and more, or tag these. So when you select tournament day, it should pull up those posts for the tournament day. And mine's thinking about it. All right, so it's stuff like that. It should happen. Should have that on there, and so it helps you navigate a little bit easier. Um, and then everyone's always asking me, where's the events at? I get this. Probably the most common question I get about the page is, where do I see your schedule? Okay, the schedule is literally part of the cover picture for our page. You guys, most of you guys know that, but for our newer viewers, maybe you just overlook it. That's understandable. People don't necessarily dwell on the cover photos, but it is literally on the cover photo. We're going to upload it again next week with some changes on there. But as our current schedule. All right. So, and there also on the left-hand side is where it says events. All our events are listed there. We will keep trying to keep that updated. It's one of those things. We always, people ask us, so there's so much discussion going on, we have a hard time finding things. That's why we tag that on the right. You see those little categories. And then we have the events section with the event meeting or makers on there. And then the schedule is actually on the cover photo. And we're, like I said, we're going to be updating that. Right now we have 2 is being determined. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to get to 10 events, but for the points race, we'll finalize this next week. It'll most likely be the current 8, your top 8 events. And we have 2 out there that aren't posted, so that gives you some wiggle room. We may lower that to 6. I've talked to several people. I'm more of a fan of counting every single one of our events as the points race. So the compromise there, some people ask, let's have the top 6 or the top 5. If we have 10 events, the compromise will most likely be what we have currently scheduled is 8. So we will take the top 8. So that is still to be determined. We're going to do some examples and see how that looks. What we don't want to do is have a penalty for someone who's fished every single one of them and none of their stuff gets credit. So we have to take a look at this stuff. But it is a points race season. We're going to follow a similar model of the Cabela's points race. We will have it posted, a separate post here before the icebreaker one for you guys to see. But I'll give you the gist of it. They start out with 200 points, goes to the winning team. And then each team below that reduces the amount of points. The teams that check in, that fish the tournament but don't weigh fish, they have a standing 100 points that they achieve. And we're looking at that. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and I hear it, Eric, and it's true they do. And our schedule is pretty wide open for the summer, really, by comparison. June we have an event, we have the meet and greet, but really one event. July and early September are open, and we don't have anything in August. And really, that's to that point, Eric, is things do get busy, and we've seen a drop, and then it's hot, and there's other big events going on. So a lot of teams only have so much disposable income. So when there's big event after big event after big event, and then there's vacation, there's holidays, the 4th of July, and all that stuff, it makes it hard. So that's why I think that compromise will be probably 8 out of the 10, and give everyone a chance because some people can't fish every single one. So we gotta think of everyone um, across the board there. So we're going to make it work. It's going to be, and we don't have a lot of events. I'm echoing now. Great. All right, let me try this. All right, am I still echoing? Am I still echoing, guys? I know there's a delay there, so let me know if I'm still echoing. There is a little bit of reverb in here. It's all wide out there, so all right. So let me go back to my notes. Um, that's all good. That's a little better. All right, guys, thanks. So I can do this. Here we go. That might help. All right. Sound pretty good. All right, thanks, Joe. And Joe, I got your shirt still. And Joe, I still follow up with you. I'm looking at an option for what we talked about that'll be on our website, not on our Facebook page. Facebook's got some certain clauses there why we can't do it on there. So I'll get with you, Joe. I am working on it. I have not forgot about that. I meant to call you the other day. All right. So Eric, we hear you. We know people get busy, and then why we didn't load the summer for a recap for everyone. That's why we didn't load the summer months. We have a couple to be determined. I was asked today, what are some of those uh, locations we're considering for to be determined? One of them is St. Joe. We're looking at, and the other one is Waverly. The guys that put on the Riding for Veterans event, I've got to call them back. They want to do something. And so I need to talk to them about when they're going to do it. So we got to work that out. So there's a couple locations, and I'm not saying that's what they are going to be, but those are a couple that we're factoring in. All right. So keep an eye on that. Rules. Let's talk about some rules. You guys ready for some rules? All right. So let's reiterate. Last year was 50 yards in between teams. We had issues. I got pictures sent to me. I've seen them. Um, there was we tried to get it to work and it wasn't working. So we are moving it to 100 yards this year. 100-yard gap in between boats anchored um, during the tournament. You cannot block the navigable route like a. You can't sit in the middle of the Kansas River and expect everyone to stay 100 yards away from you when they're trying to move upriver. So as long as boats are navigating, even if it's a tributary, if you're at the mouth about the tributary, um, I'm going to get to the drifting in a second. Um, if they're in the mouth of the tributary and they need to go around you, and someone's trying to block it, they're going to go around you. They are still allowed to navigate the waters. They can't be jerks about it because we do have a clause on the sportsmanlike conduct. So they can't go whipping it past you and deliberately cut across your lines. Be professional, guys. Um, add to the minimum distance unless otherwise. What is that, Craig? Add to the minimum distance unless otherwise discussed. I'm not following it, so I gotta you gotta get with me on that a little bit more. So we're looking at 100 yards, and all these rules right now apply to our normal tournament series. Add the sentence to the rule. Oh, okay, yeah. So guys, we're looking. So let's not get it too complicated here. It's 100 yards between boats. Um, we all know what that means. And if someone needs more instruction on what a 100-yard distance in between the boats mean, they can come give me a call or whatever. All right. Don't block the navigable routes. When boats are drifting, um, they still need to, especially drifting lakes and things like that, they still need to maintain that yardage. If someone's drifting the Kansas River and they're moving, boats are moving, that's another thing. You have to try to give that wide berth. And everyone has to realize that, and we can spell this out in multiple paragraphs and everything else. But if they're deliberately like getting 10 feet away from you, that's not the intent of the rule, right? Boats need to move. They can't block the navigable waters. If they're drifting out on lakes, then there's no reason why they have to invade that 100 yards, right? Um, and then the normal boating laws have apply anyway. So on who's got right of way, things like that. So, we got to make it work. The guys have to put some thought into it. If there's a problem there, we need to get some pictures. We need to get some video. I need to be made aware of it, and we'll take care of it. And you guys know how I am about things. Is uh, It's pretty common sense stuff, right? Don't push it. If someone's pushing it, or if they're questioning, I can do this. This for me, I don't think it's 100 yards. You know, yeah, and then that's the key is if they're pushing it, it's going to show. It's going to come up. And most of the time, when someone brings it to my attention, they're the ones not being the jerk about it. They're just trying to follow the rules and someone's encroaching on them, or there's gray area and they're just trying to get some clarity. And that's fine too. But yeah, so bumping, so I thought you meant drifting. So yeah, so that's what I'm talking about, Joel, is when you're passing, right? Quickly try to pass that area. But if we don't want, and again, this is where what concerns me about this is two boats saying, hey, we're drifting, and they're right next to each other and they're 25 yards away from each other. That's not the intent of the rule. Someone was there first. And if someone comes up and says, hey, I'm just going to be drifting, I'm going to be drifting a little faster, a little bit slower, they need to try to get that berth there. But we are talking about, hundreds of miles of river here. Go anchor up and let them go through that and then pass through. Sometimes people drift faster than others, or they walk their baits. Um, and we struggled with this last year. The intent of the rule is to keep 100 yards. In some cases, when people are traveling, because of the restricting of the water and stuff like that, they're not going to be able to do that. But on a river, if someone got to that outside bend first and they start bumping, and the other team says, hey, I want to bump that same river, maintain your 100 yards. We got to maintain that 100 yards. If, let's say, you got there second and you held up and you gave them their 100-yard berth and you gave them 200-yard berth and you're ready to bump and you start bumping and then you realize they're going a lot slower, try to navigate around them. You still have time to react. If the channel or if the river restricts you to where you can't get that 100-yard berth and you're passing them, keep fishing. It's about the terrain restricting you at that point, right? It's not that you're not trying to follow the intent of the rule. It's the terrain of the river that is restricting your 100-yard boundary. And so, we got to know that. If someone raises the issue, we got to know where that took place at so we can see. So, guys, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I do think it's going to be an issue up at 435 at the Rapids. That's where I think it's going to be an issue. And like I said, the people that report it are generally the ones that are trying to follow the instructions the most. And it's going to be an issue. I think someone's going to push it. They're going to say, hey, I got there, but they let their anchor rope out and encroach my area. Okay, if they got above you and they anchored, you guys got to work this out. You got to see it. You got to be aware of those things. If someone sends me a picture and says, hey, these guys, they pulled in and they're only about 50 yards and they're really adjusting the boat moving back, everyone's got to work through it. We can do what if scenarios all night. The point is 100-yard separation. In some cases, that may be breached a little bit when the boat's moving or drifting back or whatever. That's not the intent of it's about the fishing distance, right? Sometimes things just happen. You think you're 100 yards and you realize your anchor broke loose, and you encroached into 80 yards and you caught it and you corrected it. That's you didn't necessarily violate the intent of the rule. So the point is 100 yards when fishing. That's the key. If we got to come up with a million scenarios on it, then let's do that. Someone write it up and send it to me, and we'll go with it. Yeah, it does. It goes a long way. And I'm not bashing you guys because you guys are asking good questions. You're bringing it up, and you're bringing up things that you've seen people do. So I'm not bashing it by any means. I know what you're going through. All right. Don't block the navigable routes. We did update it to 3 adults per boat. And what we're considering 3 anglers per boat is how I should set it. And I think that's what's in the rules, 3 anglers per boat. That 3 anglers per boat's the 3 licensed anglers per boat. And if your boat allows for it, so you got a 24-foot boat and it holds 10 people and you got 3 licensed anglers in your boat as your team, but you got a couple kids with you that are under the age of 15 years and younger, are not licensed, and you want them on the boat with you, you're allowed to have that. We want the families to be involved too. But it's still the 6 poles, right? It's still the 6 poles. We get asked this a lot too for guys that are fishing in Missouri, on the Missouri waters. And they're like, hey, the law allows me to have, these, 6 up to 6 poles as long as they're marked correctly and I follow laws. As long as you're in the Missouri waters, we told everyone they can do that. And that's what the polygraphs are for. If someone's out there fishing Missouri waters and they move up into Kansas and they have 6 poles, they're disqualified. They violated that state law. They violated our intent, and our rules state the most restrictive one to the place. So once they go to Kansas, they've already violated that anyway. So 6 poles max, right? And if you're fishing by yourself, they got to be legally marked. And we only had a couple guys actually do that. We prefer people fish with everyone, but we haven't put a stop to the single anglers or anything like that. So anyway, also boats must have a live well. We did have some teams show up last year that did not have a live well. One had just a tiny bucket and said, "Hey, I'll just put water in it and we'll get the fish back." That's a 5-gallon bucket with water in it is not a live well. Okay, that's not a live well. We're not going to go down the road of having a divine. Again, that's the common sense part. But we do have some stock tanks that we carry in our trailer just for these types of things. We had someone heading out to a tournament and their live well blew out and shattered all over the place. So we have a 45-gallon stock tank, a pretty good size one, nice heavy duty. We got a couple of those we bring, so if someone needs one, it is available to them. But we need people to have live wells. All right. In fact, let me put that on my list. One thing I forgot to tell you. Oh, I did have it on there. Sorry. Your boat has to have a live well. But one thing we're going to change this year, and we're trying to be more efficient for you guys, is we're not going to do the live well checks. As you come in, so so every year this at the beginning of the season this comes up, and so it's a good question. So I'm glad you brought it up. No, you have to follow all local laws, right? So the question is, do I have to have a Kansas license to launch from Kansas and fish only Missouri waters? No, you don't. That's the whole boundary of waters rules there, and we talked to them about that. And we're like, hey, he's launched from Cop Point, but they're shooting downstream, and they're fine with it. All right, and so here's my rule of thumb on this of interpreting the rules. The way I interpret them may not be how the Fish and Game Enforcement enforces them. So on those questions, you give them a call, and because the way in that's what I'm getting at. You can give them a call. You are not fishing there. We're measuring the fish, and they've told me this before. And each one's told me, no, that was not an issue for them to weigh and fish and release them. Now I know someone will bring up, what about the culling? And we've had guys try to stir that up before. Well, if you know, then you got to explain the culling part. No, I don't have to explain it because we've tried to get the answer from the Fish and Game guys. We know they know we are running a tournament because we literally get our regatta permits from them, from the Highway Patrol, and we get our permits from the parks. All right, and we call them every year. I do it every year. I was just on the phone with two of them this week to talk about things to make sure nothing's changed, and I have to be aware of stuff. There is all kinds of internal discussions on them on culling and everything else, and and they interpret it different ways. What we were told last year was, guys, run your tournament. Um, when we have an answer for you, we will get back to you definitively one way or another. But they know we are not keeping the fish. In fact, remember, we have the conservation guys with us um, when we're doing this stuff. So remember, and I'm not trying to discourage questions, but remember, we didn't have an issue last year for these things. We don't anticipate having an issue this year for those things. Okay. But good questions. I see what you're saying. You're just trying to clear the air on stuff. But really, so it's funny on the calling part alone. We called Missouri, got one answer. They sent me to someone else. I got another answer, and then the main office like, man, why are they making this a big issue? You know, just run your tournaments. And then I called the original guy back, and he's like, man, he goes, I don't know why it's making it so difficult. Just do the tournament. Basically, he said the same thing. Same thing in Kansas. So, guys, we didn't have any problems last year with the licenses. We didn't have any problems last year with the culling. I don't anticipate us having a problem this year, unless they just. I did see an article though. I tell you this. I did see an article where the Kansas fishing license may double. So I'm going to reach out to some of my legislator friends and ask them if that is true, what I read, if that's a factor. So keep an eye on that stuff. But we haven't had issues. I don't anticipate us having another issue. Um, yeah, I hear you, Dave. All right. So live wells, we're not going to allow stringers. We're not going to allow hoop nets. We're not going to allow baskets with floaties on them. That was a huge misinterpretation of the situation last December. We're not going to allow that. We make that stuff clear. That was, someone brand new to fishing tournaments. Although I did like the concept of if I had a big fish and I was trying to keep it alive, recreational fishing, so someone come take a picture of it, that would probably work. It's like a shark cage, except the shark's on the inside of the cage. But man, you couldn't travel that way. You couldn't do any of that stuff. Yeah, so if you're fishing, so good point, Joe. Um, Either you can call Kansas. I don't think it's an issue. I don't. If you launch from Cobb Point and you have goldfish, if you're in Kansas, if you're in the state of Kansas, the way I was understood, you have to have your receipt for you. Okay, so it's not a. I got to look at that. So I'm glad you guys brought that up. I will double check that. Let me make a note of it on the bait to confirm. I didn't even look at that the other day. So that's a good one. The bait one's a good one. Um, we go out of state and we go fish other tournaments, and like in Nebraska, they got different laws on cast nets and baits and stuff like that. That stuff I really got to dig into and check. And again, it's one of those things. If I don't know, I call the offices myself, because it's not necessarily what a tournament director tells you; it's the guy enforcing it. And why I say that is, a couple of years ago when I started talking with the Fish and Game and the enforcement side, and there was all these inconsistencies from one person to the next, and then they were hashing it out in their team meetings and stuff like that. It's pretty safe to say you got to worry about who's enforcing it at that given time. Yeah, so good point also, Dave, is everyone's going to have to new license for for this year, for 2019. All right, so enough on that. If you got more questions, we can keep talking about it, but that's all I had on it. Real quick recap: 100 yards, don't block navigable routes. Do everything you can to maintain that 100 yards, even when you're bouncing and everything else, or bumping, or drifting, all of that. If the terrain causes you to encroach within that 100, that's common sense. Get through that situation as quickly as possible and move on. Um, that's the intent. And if an angler reports that, hey, Joel got in 80 yards of me because he went, these trees were there and he came into where I was drifting and that was 80 yards, he should be disqualified. We got to have a real logical sense there. We got to get more of the facts, more of the situation. Did he quickly pass through? Was he sitting there for 2 hours drifting with you? That's a different story. That's a different story altogether. So, keep that in mind. If we have to define that out, if you guys really feel that we need to define that out, give me some verbiage. Craig sent me some. He looked at our rules and he made some edits to them, some great suggestions, and we're going to talk about those a little bit more. So I'm not against it, but a common sense on a lot of things, right? We need to try to stick to that as much as possible. All right, 3 adults and the 3 anglers, 3 licensed anglers per boat is allowed this year at all our events. And families 15 and younger are allowed if you have the capacity of the boat. All right, if you add a live well, again, common sense. If you add a 100-gallon live well to your boat, that's a stock tank, that's taking up the capacity of a person most likely, right, for the design of your boat. So if your boat says you're allowed to have 6 people on it, and you have 6 people, and now a new 100-gallon live well, you've probably exceeded the weight or the capacity of that boat. All right. So we're not going to check live wells when you come in to register. You can drive in. We're going to post the registration forms online so you can download them, fill them out, have everything done. Even if you want to, if you have the consistent team every year, you could type it out, print it all through the year. And when you come in, just hand it to registration to Uzi there, and she'll assign you your boat number, and you're good. Pay your fee and go. If the no live well checks becomes an issue and people start complaining because they suspect somebody of it, we will stop it immediately and we're going to start checking live wells again. If someone's just complaining to be, yeah, very good point. That's a very good point, Joel. At 8 pounds per gallon, right? So if your capacity, say your boat says, hey, your capacity is 2,400 pounds or 1,600 pounds, you just ate half your capacity with that 100-gallon live well. So keep that in mind. Very, very good point, Joel. So again, if someone starts complaining about the no live well checks just because they're super negative all the time, obviously I'll use common sense and we'll adjust. But if someone starts bringing up some very legitimate concerns about live wells, and especially if it shows up as a failed polygraph issue, then we will stop it immediately. What we're trying to do is, again, we tout of being a professional tournament series, like others do, and we want to treat everyone like professionals. So this will add to you guys being able to focus on showing up, get registered, and focus on your boats. It keeps us from running around. We can help with processing the registrations as quickly as possible. It gives us one last task to do while everyone's coming in. We will better be able to help park the vehicles, help direct traffic to the boat ramp, help with guys that are fishing by themselves that want their trucks backed in. This frees us up a lot early in the morning. So hopefully that's okay with you guys. Hopefully everyone's good with it. It's other tournament trails. It's becoming more of a norm in other bigger tournament series. And again, we'll do that until there's an issue. Finally, on the rules updates, we're going to add in we added in, you've seen it, about the tax paperwork. Guys, the tax paperwork we thought was fine, and then as the accountant was starting to process people's IDs and stuff like that, they were wrong. There's address issues and things. If you're not familiar with, make coffee is another thing it frees us up to do. It may even free us up to whip up some biscuits and gravy even for our day tournaments. So keep that in mind. But the tax paperwork, when someone's giving us the wrong numbers or someone's giving us the wrong address or things like, come on, that's an integrity issue. We need to do better on that. We're not going to ask anyone for bringing their social security number and or card so we can check it against what they wrote. We're not going to go that route. But if we consistently see a pattern of certain people not providing us the right number, um, that's an easy fix. It's a really easy fix. Um, yeah, that's not a bad thing. The W-9s you can post out there, or the whatever the form is, we can post out there. Anyone can get it. It's already online. Anyone can download them and fill them out, and they can turn them in. The first day they turn in, work with Uzi, and she'll have it on record. Okay, you can do that. That is something that is available right now to you. Google it and fill it out and put your name on there, print it off, and she'll have it on hand the rest of the year. No questions asked. Okay. So that's it for the rules. Any other questions on the rules? I think that's everything right now. And guys, on the coffee, we push for it to be a lot stronger. So James, I deleted the big turtle rule out of our rules this year. I forgot it was still in there, and we didn't see a lot of big turtle picks last year. But what caused us to do that is you guys were getting turtles, and there were some pretty nice ones out there. And then we started thinking, man, it would be cool if we gave a trophy away for a big turtle. And we were like, yeah, let's do it. And then we started thinking even more about it, going, man, I don't know if I want a big turtle in my live well when I have a fish in there, for one. But I don't know if I want to put my hands in there looking for that big turtle for weigh-in. So we scratched it. We scratched it. Funny idea. It would have been a blast. We scratched it. I even thought for a fun event of doing a who can catch the most carp in 6 hours and then having a big barbecue at the end, and getting the carp out or something like that. Who can weigh the most carp in 6 hours, and just keep a running tally for the teams and who do it. But then I thought, man, that would be fun. It would be a high speed, event, things like that. But then we thought, man, that would be a terrible picture. All these freaking dead carp out there and all these teams waiting in and having a good time. That would be terrible optics. So we scratched it. So even though things sound fun and stuff, we end up having a reality check and we end up scratching them. So, all right. Dwayne caught the turtle. All right. I think I caught one turtle up in Lawrence this year, maybe two. All right, we talked about the points race. Look for that as a post, but if your biggest gar might be one. One of the things I want to do about the gar this year, I meant to do it this past year and I haven't. I want to get a gar and I want to try those gar bites. So I'll get a gar out of like Lacine or another lake or something, but right not the river. Yeah, if we could get a commercial place to take them afterwards or be on site to take them and process them for dog food or one of these restaurants that want to do it, that's fine. But, there's certain licenses and stuff we have to get. And maybe I'll look into it. Yeah, I mean, doing a carp tournament, that's when you definitely want to go ride with your buddy, not in a brand new Sea Arc. Yeah, the smell. All right, the points race. It's like I said, if you want to see one right now, just kind of peruse it. You can Cabela's or the King Cat's points race has the 2018 rules, but it's 200 point system. And then it drops down for each team after that, and then once you get to a certain amount of teams who don't weigh in fish but they still attended, they end up getting like 100 points. And I'm pretty good with that, except I like a caveat. What if we ever did have 100 boats? And then what do they get? They get 100 points, 100 boats or whatever it does gets 100 points. But then what's the everyone else who didn't weigh in fish or something? So we may have some type of separation there to explain that a little bit more. So if we have 50 boats, we may have a 25-point separation from whatever that point is. So we'll talk about it. But 200-point system, and then it comes down from that for every team that weighs in. And the tiebreaker of that is who weighs in the biggest fish. Things like that. And then Some people are making the argument top 6 places. Other people are making the argument it should be all. I'm more of the all, but we do understand things get busy, so we may reach a compromise of do 8. We're going to do some models on that this week, and we'll get that posted for you guys. But we'll start tracking points day 1 at the icebreaker. The icebreaker's got to get rescheduled, and we'll make that call in a heartbeat. It's not going to be a problem, and we'll get it rescheduled. But those ones posted right now would most likely be what the point race events are. If we add to it, those ones will be the flexible ones out. Joel's message. All right. All right. So we have a big special event that we are going to be keeping in our points race, and that is the Special Olympics of Kansas. This is kind of a big deal for them, and they have a crappie tournament, and they don't get a lot of participation in the crappie tournament, and they do things a little bit different there. And I've talked to one guys that was part of it before, and actually, it's a lie. I forgot. I caught a huge soft shell in Lawrence, bumping off all things. Catching a turtle when you're bumping, that's an accomplishment there. So the Special Olympics of Kansas, when it will be part of our points race. If you do not want to have an athlete in your boat, that's not a problem. No, you don't have to air it out online or anything. What I would prefer is if you would want a athlete, or if you don't mind having an athlete in your boat, let me know so I can put you on the list of athletes or someone that's going to sponsor an athlete. This is going to be one of those special events where you may have more, and again, the safety is an issue, but because it's the Special Olympics, this will have a special rules, and this is what I was talking about. Craig looked at it and he brought up some good points. Some of them we already factored in for the Special Olympics. Where some of the athletes may not want to fish on a boat. We'll have a separate category for them. If we identify any, we'll have a separate category for them to fish on the docks and things like that. That's not a problem for us. If we have some athletes that want to fish on the boat, can't wait to fish on the boat, and you've already got a 3-man team or 3-angler team, and you say, we have a 3-person team, 3-angler team, but we don't mind having a special athlete with us. That's what it's about, is get them on the boat. You are still that fishing team, and you are showing them a good time. Most of them may just be along for the ride and the experience, and that's why we're having that meet and greet, is so they can meet you guys going out there and doing this. You guys are professionals in my book, and I don't care what people have a debate at defining a professional. All of you guys are professionals in my book. I don't care if you have a freaking $2,000 boat. You conduct yourself professionally, and you represent the sport well. That's just being a professional in my book. If you have a $100,000 boat and you represent you're still being professional. So we want to have you as professionals meet these guys. Cabela's has donated a room there for us. We're going to have some snacks. We'll have our banner up, and the athletes will come there and meet you at the meet and greet. Even if you don't have an athlete in your boat, come by and meet them. It could be very, very intimidating for them to get on a boat for the first time with people they don't know, in a sport they don't know anything about. So they are not going to be expected to have their own equipment. I'll bring all my poles if I have to. If someone wants one on there and doesn't have enough equipment, we'll help out with that. We have James, what is it? You're going to do the weights. You want to explain that? He's going to donate weights for those anglers. Yeah. So, he. I can't remember how you phrased it, but we have sponsors, people wanting to. So extra life jackets. I do have some of those in the trailer at all times. So guys, if you ever forget your life jacket, we do have some that we carry with us. Don't hesitate. Some of you have not hesitated. It's not a game stopper for me. It's a safety issue. I prefer you to be honest and come forward and get it. All right. So things like that. let us know. We want these guys to come out there and feel comfortable fishing with you, getting to know you. There will be some rules changes as part of this. At the end of the day, it is a points race. Um, we do we are going to have to alter some rules for that, and that's what it was. So James is donating the weights for the athletes for the Special Olympics. Um, yeah. So okay. So Joe, and so we're going to go to one of their events to see how they do it and get familiar with them. We've talked to a lot of people about it already. We're getting some interest in it. We do have a donor. You guys hopefully see that tomorrow. We have someone who's adding $500 to the. I won't spoil it tonight because I want to highlight them tomorrow. But they're putting $500 in added money to that Clinton one, and we're going to. We've already talked to some businesses that want to get involved. They are volunteering to get involved, so this is great. Um, yeah, he's promising not to send them during takeoff. Thank you, Joel. But yeah, points race. We want to get those guys out there. This is going to be good for them. We will make it, if it's very successful, we'll make it an annual event for us. So special rules for the Special Olympics. And like I said, Craig brought up some good ones. So I'm going to take a look at his verbiage again. Um, and he watches out for us, so he'll keep me straight. So I appreciate that. We talked about how to see the events, how to navigate the Facebook page, PayPal placeholders. Uh, we tried to stay on top of it, but I know a lot of you guys will submit the payment and then you'll send me a message real quick on, hey, did you get my payment? And a lot of times I'm not where I can verify where that's at. So give us, be patient about it a little bit, but we appreciate you guys putting that placeholder on there because it helps us gauge the interest of that event. And $40, it's 25% of the entry fee. For whatever the designated entry fee is. The Border Wars is, I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier about the Tournament of Champions is not a points race. All right, it's not a points race. So I keep saying 8, but a Tournament of Champions is not a points race. The points race will be finalized at the Border Wars tournament. Okay, it'll be finalized there. All right. So I'm glad I remembered that. I didn't have that on my notes in front of me. I'm glad I remembered that. All right. So the placeholders, like the Border Wars, is $50. Tournament Champions is $50 for the placeholders. Again, the Tournament Champions are only if you landed in the money during one of our events. We also are going to have an updated pay chart out there. We're probably going to move it down a slot. We had payout by 10 participants was a one payout slot. Another 10 is a second payout slot. We're probably going to move it down to 9 or 8, but because we want to keep the payouts high. Yeah, so if we cancel one entirely, of course you can get a refund or not. But if something comes up and we have to reschedule it, that is on us. That is not on you guys, and so we will work with you on that. That's so good question, Dave. Thanks for bringing that up. So we will work on it. If you want to move it to another one, we can do that. But ideally, we can reschedule it and you'll be there because it is a points race season. So I know you guys are going to be in there. So keep that in mind. But yeah, good question. If we reschedule an event because of safety reasons or things like that, that is not on you, and we will help with that refund or reassigning of the placeholder, whatever the case is. So good. Special Olympics, we talked about that. All right, finally, Catfish Conference, guys. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So I didn't prepare them tonight. I want them to kind of be a surprise. You've seen we ordered another set of decals. This time we'll have a little glow white border around them. So they'll show up on your windows better, on your boats better. They are bigger than the ones we had last year. And so look for those. We have several new shirts. One of them is just a very simple text and a couple little designs on it. And Uzi set those up with different colors that you'll be able to get for your other halves, or yourself, if for that matter. But it's very simple, very casual. It's something you can wear out, do whatever you want in. It's just a very simple design, but it looks great. It has some good content on there for you, and not too busy at all. And then we have a new logo or new image that we're going to have on shirts. We're still going to have our existing one on some shirts. We have a new image out there. It'll be in multiple different shirts, different colored shirts, and some hoodies. And we also have, um, so we have the one logo, and then last night, our T-shirt guy, I showed him what I wanted to do about the double A's. Remember we talked about that, the double A's that will look like hooks, and put them on a hat or something like that. So we showed him some pictures of it. Um, so there's this. Remind me of the story about Virgin Air. Um, so he's seen this logo and he was like, "Wait a minute, we got to make shirts on this." I'm like, "Man, we have blown our budget on shirts already. We do not want to spend another dime on shirts." And he was so adamant of having this as a shirt. He's like, "All right, I'm going to make these shirts and then we'll split them. Split what you sell. And there's not a big margin on them." And to be honest with you guys, this ain't trying to sob story here. We told him we don't try to nickel and dime you guys. It's something we don't do. Even though we increased the cost to 60 or by $20 this year, 160. We didn't for the Border Wars in Tournament Champions. It's 160, but we added another player in there so to help ease that cost, right? So you have 3 people. So we're about watching that cost, that out-of-pocket expense for you guys. So when it came to the shirt discussion, he was like, "Yeah, you could sell this for $30. You could sell this for $25." We said, we prefer to get a price point down to $20 because he really thought we could make more off this. He thought this was a great logo, and so basically the shirt that has that really nice logo on there, it's only a few dollar margin. He was fine with it. At the end of the day, he was like, I understand that. I see what you're saying. He was fine with it. So it's a good shirt. I think it's that nice of a logo. Obviously, he thought it was that nice of a logo with that double A. He thinks it's going to transfer great on flex fit hats, on hoodies, on jackets, and everything. So he went with it. The other thing we're going to have is license plates with our Catfish logo and the flags. Our big one that we have on the banner. He's making up a bunch of white license plates with that logo on there, so guys can put them on their boat trailers or other trailers or whatever, rather than a decal if that's what they want. So different stuff like that. And then Uzi, she ordered some other things there too for the conference. We can't thank Steve enough for this opportunity. So we got to put on a good showing there. We have all your pictures. You guys are still adding to them. And Craig made us a great promotional video. So we started thinking, and I said, well, let's grab these images. And we got hundreds and hundreds of those things. I think we're at like 400 images now. And we're going to put that in a video, and we're going to run it. So we're going to play Craig's for a while. We'll play the slideshow, the all your pictures from 2018 catches. And what's cool about that is not specific to All American Catfish. This is just you guys having fun. And so that's what it should be, is a stream about you guys having fun. Some of those pictures came from our tournaments. Some came from other tournament series. That's all cool. Some are just family picnics or families messing around or garages, that's all fun. And some weren't even from 2018, but I don't care. It's you guys having fun. It's showing the family. So that's going to be there. And now Christy's working on something specifically from the tournaments that she's going to have on loop there too. So we're going to have rotating things going on display at the Catfish Conference on our monitors. Steve did say we'd have access to power, but I'm bringing about 200 feet of freaking extension cords just to make sure. What else was there? Oh, yeah, one of the nights we're going to try to get a conference room in one of the hotels and grab a few cases of beer and some chips and have whoever shows up come by and hang out with us, right? So a lot of you guys are going to be out there. You're going to have fun. Let's get together and have a couple cold ones. Nothing for anyone to get a DUI on or anything bad. And we'll have some soda and stuff or water that I'll probably stick with, um, or whiskey. Um, but we want to have a get together with you guys. If you're driving all the way out there to be part of the Catfish conference, let's have a little get together and let's have a good time about it. Let's make it fun like we always do. So, what are your questions? We've been on for about an hour and talking for an hour out of audio the first 10 minutes, so about an hour of talking. What do you guys got? Erica, are you still on? You feel okay with what I told you about? We have to take a look at that. I know you said 6, um, but we got to take a look at trying to maximizing that. Now that I remember the Tournament of Champions is not a point race one, I'm pulling it back up. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 right there. So 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right now we have 7 regular season tournaments. And what keeps throwing me off when I do my count is I added on the December 7th Catfish games. So it keeps throwing me off when I'm doing it. So, yeah, Ryan, if we do one, if we get the ones we want in July and September, they're going to make those night ones. I know you guys want them, but the thing is, because you guys fish so many other tournaments, you guys are burnt by midsummer on night tournaments. You're just burned out. They are grueling. They're Ironman ones, and that's really. I was all in. I was talking to some other people. We were saying every single one of our events should be a points race event. And then I started thinking, remembering how hard the freaking night events are for some people. They fish them, and then they got to go to work, and some have to go to work like Sunday night. And I was like, man, it's freaking tough on these guys. So if we added in 2 night events, they could still be points race ones, but then we would just deduct that off the total that we would tally at the end to see who won the race. Because that's where we kind of came up with that compromise of 8. Because we want to intentionally have 10 events, but I keep forgetting that the Tournament of Champions is not a points race one. So really 9 events, if we took 2 of them off, because they're night, we give you 2 for flexibility, we're at 7 events. So we'll spell it all out. It'll be nice and clean for you. I just got running around today and couldn't do it. Yeah, so yeah, so Joel, you hit a. I've heard some stories about people driving home and going off the roads, and man, I don't know how I'd react. I mean, I led guys into combat, and I didn't ever lose anyone that reported directly to me in combat. But there's guys that with us that were lost. I hated being part of the situation where people were lost. I hated it. I still hate it to this day. And so I would hate to have a tournament to where I fatigue somebody so bad that they fell asleep, and I just wouldn't want it. So minimizing the night tournaments. That's why we have coffee. We encourage people to take a cat nap, even though there's paparazzis floating around. We try to mitigate all that. Let you guys. We have energy drinks. Those are not cheap by any means, but that's how much we worry about it. Is we want you guys to have some energy. We want you to have some coffee. We want you to have something to eat. We want that stuff. If you're not safe, pull over, and I will give you tips on where to hide. Now that I know better, where you can pull over, hide, and get a couple hours sleep without the paparazzi showing up. I will work with you on that. But it's all right. It's all right. I got something for him. Anyway, I hear you. The night events. What else you guys got? What else you guys got? Anything else, guys? The points race one is leading up to this call tonight, this show tonight, we were still talking about it. It's going to happen. Yeah, he will. I got Justin. Justin, if you guys haven't seen it, go to our YouTube page and look at Justin's dance video. It's out there. Oh yes, it's out there. Um, we even got YouTube sent us a copyright infringement deal on it, and then sent us a message saying do not take action on it. That we didn't need to. So that's kind of funny. But John Jameson still has something coming. I still got something for him. I'll think of something. I haven't thought of it yet, but I'll think of something. What else you guys got? We're still going to have food for you guys. Us freeing up. No, I have not actually. I haven't even looked at it. Never even factored it, Eric. If you've got something on that, can you shoot it to me? And guys, if you haven't got our email already, there's our email. Yeah, I have not thought about that. If someone can find that, I'll do some looking too. But if you got it readily available, shoot it to me. Let me put that down in my notes. We are talking to Cabela's already about what they. Cabela's is one of the groups we're talking to. Okay, information on nationwide trends. So there is some stuff happening in Virginia. And even though something's happening in Virginia, we got a lot of information, some pictures, and they said, get out here. We're going to take care of you. Get to Virginia. So I need to call her back, and we're going to go. So here's another reason I've been busy, guys, is we want Virginia. Remember I said the two places I want to try to do is Virginia and Texas this year. Texas, we are talking to some people down there in Texas. Hopefully we have some decent Cabela's ones you got to be like a member and stuff. So we got to find out about the Cabela's ones. But Texas, we want to happen. It will not be part of my normal trail. It will not be our point series trail. It'll be a one-off trail where we're going to try to get, if you guys want to come down and fish it, let's come down and fish it. And something like that, I would like to get a big freaking suite or a campground or something and have, something going on. But we're going to do one. We're looking at a couple of options in Texas, couple of lakes, the northern part of Texas to go to. So we're going to do it. We really want to do it. We are in talks of it. There are some people that are considering being on board as sponsors for it. So keep that in mind. Virginia, though, we got to get out there. They want us to. The reason a lot of this stuff is delayed is some of the CVBs, some of the company or the entities that we need to work with, office entities and locations, they don't move as fast as we can. And then I've taken over a new team in my work here recently, and that's consumed a lot of my time getting that and during the day and stuff like that. So I haven't had time for making phone calls. Things have been really busy. Traveled my daughter's graduation stuff. So I've been busy. Haven't been able to pursue those. But if we do anything, it will be Texas and it will be Virginia. Texas first, Virginia. It's the priority right now. And why I prioritize it that way, it have to go by realistic expectations. And Texas is more realistic than getting out there, Virginia. It's easier for me to get to Texas than Virginia right now. All right. Tawakoni. Yeah, there's other ones out there too, Ryan, right? Okay. So we need to take a look at. So we've been a big supporter of the Fish Life and the national championship, the Catfish Weekly National Championship one. And guys, don't let me forget, I keep meaning to ask Lyle to put his Catfish Weekly stuff on all our stuff so we can remind people to join it. Monday nights is the worst night for me to join anything, so I miss his shows all the time. Um, yeah. So, are you saying the championship for next year? Yeah, for Cabela's or the King Cat. Yeah. So we were asked earlier if we're going to be on Milford this year, and there's a lot of events, a lot of trails going to Milford, and with that many that many people putting on events out of Milford, and the propensity for high winds out there, and things having to get rescheduled, we said scratch in Milford. Um, because if we have to reschedule, then it could impact all kinds of things. So we scratched Milford, stick more to the rivers. We do have a lake, we're doing this year. I thought about really hard looking at other lakes, and then we crunched some numbers of historical presence on the lakes, and it's not really looking good for more lakes. If I do more lakes, it may be more down south. And people keep asking us about Lake of the Ozarks, and I haven't ruled that out. I really haven't. We have been contacting that conference I was telling you we went to in September. They really wanted us down there. So people I would talk to more about that would be like Alex and Lyle and get some more feedback. But as far as the championships, um, when I was getting at about the championship, I couldn't make it down there because it fell. My daughter's graduation wasn't set in stone of when that was going to take place in her class, and so it fell too close to the national championship. So that's why we didn't go to it. So next year we got to see how the national championships put together, how Jody's going to do it. I really want to talk to him and figure out how they're going to do the qualifiers for it. I had my proposals. That doesn't mean he has to listen to any of them, but he did listen, hear me out anyway. And what he decides to do, I haven't heard yet. And so that depends on how much we're going to look at that, right, and support it. We're supporters for it for the last couple of years, but it's a huge expense for us. It's a huge expense for us. So you factor in we provide food and drinks and snacks and stuff. And then on top of that same event where we spend a few $100s on that, we throw in another $100. It's a huge expense to be national qualifiers for our events. So we're this year, because it is a business, we're factoring in all of those things because we want to do other things for you. Uh, I know we've been on a lot tonight, but one of the things we talked about last year, two things we talked about last year. Angler, you guys asked about Angler of the Year and banquet. Um, I'll put a poll out there, maybe tomorrow, maybe tonight, of Angler of the Year if you want an Angler of the Year still, and who would be who. If we did a banquet, how I was thinking is, if there's an interest in doing Angler of the Year, we would award that at the banquet. The banquet, you could be as formal as you want or as casual as you want, right? It's these are like family events, so we would look for that. I did talk to Cabela's when we were talking about the rooms. Um, you know the it's I know so I see what you're saying, like team of the year, but we have a lot of anglers who don't have a consistent fishing team, and so that makes it rough. Again, this is an expense, right? So you guys mentioned Angler of the Year. It was something that came out of the chat, resonated there. Got the grassroots from the chat discussion. So let's look at it. If you guys still see an interest of it, yeah, that's. I didn't want to say it, Dave, but I'm glad you said that. that's what points raised up. So, really, the Angler of the Year. If that's what you guys are still interested in doing, we can do it. And I tell you what, I've already got the mug identified that I want. It's a cool friggin' mug. That who the Angler of the Year would be awarded. We're also going to do some plaques at our events this year. Not just the 2 trophies for the 2 events. And each one of those events, and we'll post it out there, but it's really we're getting 2 trophies made. If the team that wins it has a 3rd trophy, they're going to have to get that 3rd one made. But we could probably work something out to help them with that. But these are not casual trophies, so we're not going to buy 3 trophies all the time. and just in hopes that a third team wins. So it's just too expensive. These things are not. They're pretty cool trophies. Let's put it that way. So keep that in mind. So think about the angler of the year. If you guys still want it, I'll put a poll out there, yay or nay. And I guarantee when we put this poll out there, people that will never fish our events will be voting on it. It's hilarious. I do get a kick out of that. So really, if you fish our events, we want that. We want that feedback. So you know what? Maybe we won't do a poll online. Maybe we'll do a poll, uh, a slip, and you can fill it out yes or no for Angler of the Year. And we'll do it for the first couple of events, the first 3 events or something like that. And then whatever wins, whatever the Yays win, the Yays have it. So maybe that's what we'll do. That will probably be more effective because then we're actually getting people fishing our events that have that say, right? Have that persuasion. So I think that might be the way to do it. Also, remember, we're still going to do the school drives this year. We will start that early. And so as you bring in school supplies, you'll get an entry into the drawing for a free tournament entry for the following year. And we're also going to, even though we provide the food and drinks, we're going to have that school snack program that we're going to sponsor this year. We'll have a can out there with a lid on it, with a slot, and you guys can throw your pocket change in it, or like kind of like a tips jar. But everything we collect from you guys, no one has to do it. It's not mandatory by any means. But as you guys throw money in that, we will be taking it to a school. There's a counselor who was talking with us, and a little side note, the VFW I belong to supports this counselor and her initiatives at the school, and they sponsor some families and coats and things like that. Last year, all the school supplies you guys got went to her, and she divided it up among some needing classrooms. And so we got to talking about what else they needed, and they said, we have a lot of kids that don't have lunch accounts. They just don't, the families just don't have money to put money in the lunch accounts. So the teachers have a snack account that they chip into out of their own pocket, and they buy snacks. So then the classroom can have a snack together, and no one's left out then. And so they have that morning snack. And so they do that, and that comes out of their own pocket. So we, All American, gave them some money, and said next year, because we do this food and stuff like that, we're going to put this tip jar out there, and if guys want to throw in for it, this is what we're going to give it to. And maybe we move that around to different schools from year to year for the different districts that people are locating. So, maybe we do that this year, and then the team that wins it, we'll figure something out. But we'll find a way to move it around so other schools can benefit from that type of program too. So that's what we're going to do this year. That is everything I can think of, guys. If you're not subscribed to this channel already, please subscribe to it. And for our analytics, if you could, hit the like button if you liked it. If you didn't, you didn't. And some guys don't. That's fine. That's their prerogative. Before we close tonight, think of so many questions you may have. Also, guys, we have sponsors. We have potential sponsors that we encourage to look at our page. And yes, fishermen can exaggerate on weights of fish. We get that. On personal pages, have fun with it. On our page, let's try to be professional. Let's watch out for each other. I couldn't watch all the posts, but thankfully somebody did see something. It's the conversation started going south on our page, and they flagged it, and I was able to remove it. And that's good. That's us watching out for us. We're policing each other. And some people don't intend to get carried away. We're guys a lot of times, and guys get carried away pretty quick. We're pretty irresponsible a lot of times. So, but the point is, we have sponsors, potential sponsors looking at our pages. We do a really good job. I think you guys do a really good job of keeping everything professional all the time. Even what was happening the other day was not that bad. Not even close. So it's all good. But they flagged it. We took care of it and removed it from being an issue before it did go bad. And that's always a good thing. So guys, keep it up. I appreciate you. I appreciate that I post something and like what Craig did. He edited it and sent it back and goes, "Hey, here's my offer." That's great. That's what I need. Because what rattles up around in this head isn't always right. Like Eric pointed out, hey guys, it is busy during the summer. We have a lot of kids' activities, and I remember those days. That's good. That's what we need. We need you guys to bring that up to our attention. Um, so don't hesitate. Um, you doing a raffle again this year, like last year, or did the trolling motor? Oh, so yeah, this is what I was alluded to with Cabela's. So Cabela's chain of command up there, change of command up there, and the guy that we got the trolling motor from is no longer with Cabela's. They got a new guy in. They have a whole new program of how they do this. We turned in a huge presentation to them, explained how they gave us gift cards, how they gave us Life Vest, how they gave us the trolling motor, all of that stuff. How whoever won the Border Wars, we put a copy of their picture and the trophy up at Cabela's the first year for like 2 months so people could see it at Cabela's, the guest stand there. We want to do more things like that with them. He doesn't know what he can do just yet. The budgets and all there, and they may not be able to do anything with the new budgets. But one of the things we are trying to do is we would like to raffle off a pistol or an AR-15 and have something like that. We're looking at the logistics of that, the legalities of it, because it's 2 different states participating in it. All those types of things we're taking a look at. And that's something we talked about last year too. We are really working hard, and I really hope this comes in through you. We are really looking at a really good, cool package. I'm not trying to tease you on it. If we don't get it, no harm, no foul. We'll still do something for the guys who win the Tournament of Champions. But the team that wins the Tournament of Champions this year, we hope to have a really cool package for them. We really do. And I was on the phone with them today as a follow-up, and the poor guy that we're working with has got influenza and has been home, but his whole office knows about it. And they said, hey, he's taking Spear. He told us about it. We've reviewed what you sent. He's our point man for you for this year. That kind of is a little tipping their hand type deal of what way they're leaning. So I hope it's good news for us. And I think you guys get a blast with it. So I'll just say this. There have been hints dropped on our page of what it may pertain to. I'll just tease it. But really, if that doesn't pan out, no problem. We're still going to take care of those guys. But we're going to do something cool for the Tournament of Champions. And Joel still hasn't told us when he wants to go eat, and his team, and Jackson. So they still have a steak dinner coming. So does Kyle. Still has steak dinner coming. I tell you what, I'd be taking me up on that offer. So come on, guys. Any more? Hour and a half here. What else you guys got? Again, guys, when we're approaching these sponsors, we like our analytics. So you guys liking our posts and sharing our posts and inviting your buddies to our page, that's all great stuff. We totally appreciate that. We know we're trying to grow that community, and it's working. We really appreciate it. We like the calls you guys called me through the day, the questions. Some of the questions I get a kick out of, and I could really tease the guys about it. But it's I'm really enjoying what we're doing. Even though sometimes it may seem like I get flustered and just irritated about things, I'm not. It's a lot of times it's just nature of the beast. But I do enjoy what I'm doing, and we're going to keep doing this as long as we enjoy it and you guys enjoy it. If you guys don't have anything else, I appreciate you. We'll give it 2 minutes here and think of something else. Again, let's take a look at our sponsors. Take a look at them, support them, be there for them. I've got to get this I got to get my broadcast stuff straight, because on my screen, I see the one chat, but if I go to YouTube, I see both chats. And you guys don't need to see both chats. So I'll get the hang of it. I'm not a streamer. It's more for content purposes. And so there it is, guys. That's why I do this for you. Thanks, Christy. Hey, we appreciate you, Christy, the camera ninja. All right, guys. Nothing else. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining tonight, and take care.